So here is an equation which we need to solve over the set of complex numbers, and we need to find its magnitude. Our equation is x to the 6th power minus 1 is equal to 0. Let's see how we can solve it. First of all, we can rewrite it as x cubed to the 2nd power minus 1 squared is equal to 0. Now we can use we see that this is the difference of squares, so we can represent it as x cubed minus 1 times x cubed plus 1, and again this is equal to 0. The formula which we just used is a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b times a plus b. This is the formula which we have just used here. Okay. Let's see. Now we will use the formula of the difference of cubes, which looks like this. A cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared. So now we will use this formula and also the formula of sum of cubes. So a cubed plus b cubed is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So let's use these two formulas here. So we see that x cubed minus 1, here we can use the formula of difference of cubes, and we will get x minus 1 times x squared plus x times 1, which is x, plus 1 squared, which is 1. Then for this part we will use the formula of sum of cubes, and we will get x plus 1 times x squared minus x plus 1, and this whole thing is equal to 0. Well, let's see how we can solve this equation now. So here we have a few possible scenarios. So scenario number one is that x minus 1 is equal to 0, which means that x is equal to 1. Scenario number two is that x plus 1 is equal to 0, and then x is equal to negative 1. Then scenario number 3 is that x squared plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. And scenario number 4 is that x squared minus x plus 1 is equal to 0. Well, to solve our third and fourth scenarios, we need to remember how to solve quadratic equations. So basically, if we have equation which looks like this, a times x squared plus b times x plus c is equal to 0, then the solutions to this equation would be equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and this whole thing is over 2. Okay, let's use this rule to find the solutions of these equations. So I will rewrite it again. X squared plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then the solutions are equal to, so b is equal to 1, so it's negative 1 plus or minus b squared, which is 1 squared, so 1 minus 4. So we see that a is equal to 1 and c is equal to 1 here, so just minus 4 over 2a, which is over 2. Let's simplify it. So x is equal to negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 over 2. We can rewrite it using complex numbers as negative 1 plus or minus I times square root of 3 over 2. Well, now let's do the same thing for scenario 4. So here we have the square root, the solutions for this equation are equal to, again, we are using the same formula, so it's negative b, here b is negative 1, so it's negative 1, negative 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 1, minus 4 times 1 times 1, which is just minus 4, over 2. Again, negative 1 is equal to 1, so this would be equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 over 2, which is equal to 1 plus or minus I times the square root of 3 over 2. So now we see that in the scenario 3 we have 2 possible solutions, and in the scenario 4 we also have 2 possible solutions. So let's write down all solutions which we have found. So first of all, x can be equal 1, negative 1, then negative 1 plus I times square root of 3 over 2, then negative 1 minus I times square root of 3 over 2, then 1 plus I times square root of 3 over 2, then 1 minus I times square root of 3 over 2. So here we have 6 possible solutions, and we need to find the magnitude of them. So the magnitude is it would be equal to the square root of negative 1 to the 6th power, which is just 1. So here are our 6 solutions and the magnitude of our solutions.